Thank you for your introduction, Lara, and hi to everyone joining from all around the world. So I will start to share my screen so we can kick off my talk about career perspectives in tech and emerging roles and trends in tech. Can everybody see my screen? If I could get a thumb, Lara?
Perfect.
All right, thank you very much. So yeah, welcome everyone. My name is Max Joosten. I am from Techie also known as TechGrounds, and I work there as a business developer, working on researching the IT job market in the Netherlands and roles, certain roles, and all the tech domains we currently have in the Netherlands. And I will be talking about the career perspectives for people in IT, anxious to join IT or to start working in IT or tech, because there is a lot of opportunity there. So yeah, to start off, the career perspectives in tech are very good. That's very easy to say, but it has been very good for a while. So the tech sector is growing year after year, but is growing more exponentially along the way. So I will go into why the career perspectives are so good and what kind of roles there are in the first half hour of my talk. And there are actually four principles underlying at the moment at the growing tech space and roles and jobs in tech and IT. At the moment, we are amidst the fourth so-called industrial revolution of IT. So you have the third industrial revolution with the internet and everything online. And now we are growing that into a fourth industrial revolution where everything will become more interconnected, and everything that needs to be interconnected needs to be developed and be built by tech specialists and IT specialists. There is at the moment a gap between the open positions in IT and educated workforce in the Netherlands. So we'll go into that for just a sec. And then I will go into some key numbers and facts about the IT job market. And also we'll talk about reskilling and upskilling as the first principles of why the career perspectives in IT and tech are so good. So as I said, the fourth industrial revolution combines a lot of things like artificial intelligence, cloud computing into the real world. You have a lot of sectors who are integrating even more and more tech domains into their sector or their field of work. And you will see that become more a reality in everyday sectors like shipping or any other sector we will be talking about during my talk. So as you can see, this is a questionnaire given out by Salesforce about all the things that will be growing in IT, all the jobs and necessity of IT related technologies and trends. So as you can see, there is a large number of people who will think that we are just at the beginning of the growth that we will see in the next couple of years and in the coming future. So here are some points on the gap of open IT positions and educated workforce. In the Netherlands, there is an average of 1 position filled with 10 open positions in IT and tech. That means that there is a big gap and that there are a lot of people who can instantly start working in IT on different fields. This year alone, the total information and communication sector has grown with 6%. That means only the information and communication sector. That doesn't include other sectors like healthcare, transport, so on and so on. There also is a thing that there has to be, or what's so-called the blue-collar worker of the future, where in the last 50 years you had more labor-intensive work, and that will be growing more and more into a coding work and more IT work that has to be done. So there has to be a whole workforce of people who are able to administer current technologies and work with current technologies. There's also the problem that in the Netherlands, a lot of middle school still don't have coding into their curriculum. So there is like this gap that now exists. Comes from that fact that a lot of people from middle school choose different kind of studies in economics or in law, while there needs to be a lot of educated programmers or engineers in the tech space. So that those factors conclude a gap between the work field and the people who are educated enough to go start work in IT. So that makes the need for educated IT professionals even more needed. So in 2030, artificial intelligence will make up 20.1% of global GDP. That's an estimate, but that gives you an indication that IT and in this case AI, artificial intelligence, is growing very rapidly and will grow more rapidly in the future. Also, 50% of people in all work fields need to be reskilled or need some sort of reskilling for their work in the future. 40% of their work-related activities are at the moment not in their skill set, so they need to be reskilled by the time they have to have the skills to do that. There's also in the Netherlands, at least, a big rollout of CRM companies and cloud services. So you will see that a lot of companies, especially middle and smaller companies, will implement some kind of CRM, customer relationship management system, or cloud computing service into their work. So there will be a lot of jobs in that field as well. So there's also an overallocation of students in other fields. That's what makes the gap that big. There are some facts about different countries around the world. So France has 80,000 more IT, or needs 80,000 more IT workers than they currently have available, and the US has 250,000 data scientists that they currently need, but that they don't have. And in the UK, 23% of people lack basic IT and digital skills, while they will be required for 90% of all jobs in the UK. So there I will go to reskilling and upskilling, which is a big part of the future of IT and a lot of jobs in particular. So you have a lot of business students who are reskilling to search engine optimization or to digital marketing, because there is not a lot of work in their field, but there is there's too much work to do in IT and tech. So there are a couple of ways to do that. Here we have certification. So there are a lot of certificates that you can get online on multiple online websites like Udemy or Udacity or Coursera. And there are also a lot of universities who are now giving digital courses in certain fields of like data science or data analytics, but also information security. So there are a couple of ways to get those certifications is through online courses. Also, a lot of companies are internally developing courses who employees can follow to reskill or upskill their skill sets to what's needed. And a lot of things are possible through self-study. So you can go to these online courses also by yourself or through research online by yourself. Everybody knows like a self-taught developer in his or her company. Not in all, but in some they do. So here you have an overview of all the certifications in different IT domains, and we will go into that domains later on. So for creative jobs in IT, there's not like a certification that you can get. So it's very useful to build up a portfolio of your creative mindset and things that you can create with your digital skills. Because when you apply for a job at a company, they don't ask you or they specifically ask you for your portfolio and all your skills and design skills that you have, and the creative process that you have. But there are also a lot of specific certifications per domain, IT domain, where you can get those certifications to upskill yourself or to show the company that you have the latest knowledge in that field. So there's also a difference between the hard skills and the soft skills. And we at TechGrounds and Techie Warden, we see that soft skills are essential for all IT jobs. And sometimes people think that that's not really necessary. I mean, you need to code and you need to know how to build stacks or something else. But if you can present your project, or you can communicate through your project or work alongside other people, you're not very effective in the workspace and the work environment. So that will make that soft skills are essential to a good IT professional. So there are actually 5 IT profiles that we have researched in Techie Warden. So we have data analysts, developers, growth hackers, tech supporters, and digital designers. And these 5 profiles have certain skill sets or certain skills that they need. Like analytical thinking is different for an analyst than it is for a tech supporter, because an analyst has to check the data and be very precise about the data, but a tech supporter has to be analytical about problem solving and problems coming up in his work, and he needs to be able to show to see this, to see what the problem is, and to conclude how to solve it in the future so it won't happen again. So you have different kind of skill sets in all these profiles, and actually all the IT jobs in the Netherlands are fall under one of these profiles and skill sets. So I have a question for everybody. How many IT domains do you think currently exist? So if you can put your answers in the chat, and please may it be a number of how many. So I will check what people think at the moment.
I see 42, very precise, 25, 60.
Those are very large numbers.
10. More.
I see 15. Great number. No, actually, I see a lot of 60s and 20s and 45s. So I'll just give the answer right now. Those are very big numbers, and you're probably talking about specific IT jobs in certain domains. So there actually are 10 IT domains that we consolidated in the Netherlands. So you have digital design and user experience design. This domain works with everything that is designed digitally, from logos to websites to to colors on the websites or applications. So everything that is designed digitally and how a customer uses the product, website, or application. They have growth hacking and digital marketing. This is a very new field. As in the name, growth hacking has been very recently added in IT. And this is everything that has to do with digital marketing and growing as quick as possible. As everybody knows, the big startups from Silicon Valley will grow so big, so quick. And everybody is very focused on hacking the growth. And it doesn't matter how you do it, but it just matters that it happens. To be not that exact, but then we have IT strategy and management. So those are more like the management positions in the company, from managing the IT choices the company makes to certain management functions in IT teams. Then we have CRM deployment with companies like Salesforce, Oracle, and SAP, who are rolling out in the Netherlands, but also worldwide. These companies do all the customer relationship management. So they build their big products, who they sell to companies who can use it to monitor the the relationship with the customers of the company. Then we have storage data and data intelligence, and this is everything that has to do with data analytics, also with storing the data and analyzing what a client or a customer wants or does, and how you can affect his choices in the process of selling your product or service. And then we have information security, which is also a very growing domain, because nowadays there are hacking is more common than any time before. So every company has to be secure, their data, their network, but also their customer data has to be secure, because if a company will be hacked, it's such it's not good for the name of the company. Then we have DevOps, which means development operations and cloud technology. And that development operations is the constant circle of developing a application or product or certain thing in a company, and developing it in a constant loop. Then we have software development, which is probably the longest standing domain in the entire tech space, which is about coding languages and coding applications and coding every website or everything inside a company. And we have tech and system support, which is the domain where everything from internal IT support to external IT support happens. And then last but not least, we have network technology and engineering. And then we have companies like VMware and Cisco who have products where a total network of a company is constructed from and is engineered, but also is maintained. So those are the domains in short. Then we have also a couple of domains that are new and aren't yet like a certain vast domain where you can put a name on it. So we have blockchain and Internet of Things, but also sustainability. And there are small roles coming up in those domains as well, but they aren't like that big yet. So they have to grow a bit more the next years, which I think will happen before they are really a big we can call it a domain. In all these domains, we have a total of 160 IT jobs. Currently, every domain has like probably 50 to 20 really strong IT roles in them. And if you would like to know all IT roles in the Netherlands, you can send me an email. I will set my email in the comment section, and I will send you the total picture, but it's pretty overwhelming to show it at the moment and go through every specific job. So there are actually 4 categories of jobs. So you have entry-level jobs who have 0 to 1 year experience. And you have starting jobs who have a half year to 2 years of experience. Also mid-level jobs, and those have 2 to 6 years of experience, and jobs with longer experience than that. So that's mostly 5 to 10 years. And it depends per domain how many years of experience you have. You can also switch domains if you, for example, have a lot of knowledge in data and data intelligence, but there's a position opening up in information security through reskilling or some information security courses. You can also always switch to a next level job or in another field. So it's very diverse. Every domain hangs together on the other domain and is very used by the other domain. So if one domain grows, it will also mean that other domains will grow with that domain. These domains are going to be applicable across all sectors. So first, it started with you have the total IT companies, websites or retailers like Zalando or other applications, social media. But now you will see that it will be more and more implemented in other companies and sectors as well. So in the end, there will be every sector will implement IT domains in their field, retail, shipping, export, transport, payments, healthcare, mobilization, cars, but also sustainability with microgridding or in sports with data analytics. And you will see that grow more and more into every field or sector. So there also have the COVID push. So COVID has pushed IT 5 years in the future, some people say, in terms of growing and being more implemented in companies. So you have, this is from McKinsey, the total change of employment is totally more focused on healthcare, STEM professionals, health professionals, managers, but also you will see that a lot of jobs from the old economy, like office support or other services, more service-like companies, bars, etc., are becoming less and less big through COVID. But it also means that every sector is innovating itself to a post-COVID world, and that will mean a lot of more digitalization than there is right now. It also has shown us that we have problems in our supply chain, so there are a lot of things to learn and grow into in the supply chain with data analytics and a more short supply chain. The supply chain won't be disrupted anymore, just like it has been through COVID. Also, the work from home is there to stay. So a lot of companies are implementing a 3-day work week with a 5-day work week, of course, but 3 days at home, over 3 days at work and 2 days at home, where you can book your meetings or your workplace at the company. This also has given every company the insight that working abroad is possible. So a lot of IT jobs that are currently where you currently need to go to an office or work from a certain location, the COVID push made it possible that companies now see that you can work from abroad. So if you live in, for instance, Germany, you are able to work for in an IT-related job in France or in the Netherlands or in America. Those possibilities are becoming more and more apparent. Also, the old economy sectors are also pushed into digitization. As I said before, retail shops who have all been closed, and everything that was physical uses some kind of digital new structure to be able to stand in this new era of digitalization. Also, data-driven decision-making through the use of the cloud. So data-driven decision-making has been a factor of IT for a long time, but it will be, companies start to implement it more and more in their day-to-day work and their day-to-day choices they make. And those data has to be stored in the cloud because otherwise it wouldn't be that efficient.
Max, thank you so far, and also thank you for making it very timely and topical with what, of course, a worldwide phenomenon has meant for this field too. I would like to just bring in a question from the audience. From Maarten. So first of all, he gives a thanks for the talk, valuable information. I agree. So regarding the skills that you showed on your slide, a couple slides back, like Microsoft, Azure, etc., what do you think is the best choice if you want to grow in tech? Is it to focus on becoming an expert in one of those skills, or would it be better to kind of be all round and be able to use a little bit of everything?
So thank you for the question, Laura, and thank you for the question, Maarten. I think it's very useful to become a bit of skilled in a bit of everything. So I think another speaker will be talking about the T-shaped profile, and that's something that we'll see a lot in IT jobs. So you can specify in the field you're interested in, but it's also become more and more important to know a bit of other fields because your decisions also have to be based on those other fields and also are intertwined with other fields, especially in IT, where every domain is so intertwined with what the other domain is doing or what the core use of the other domain is. So I hope that will answer your question. But yeah, a bit of both. So specify in where you're good in and what you like, but also be able to know something about every domain or about all things that you are interested in. So thank you for the question.
Thanks, Max. I think we're off to the trends and roles.
Yes, so we're going further with trends and roles. So we now know that the perspectives are very good and the possibilities are beyond knowing. So this is currently in the Netherlands. These are the open applications for jobs in the Netherlands. So as you can see, the old and very established domains have a lot of current open applications, and they are growing steadily. Let me give for starters, all domains are growing, but there are specific domains that are growing more exponentially than other domains. So these are the very except then growth hacking and digital marketing, which is growing also very big. But these are the standard domains like software development, tech support, and network technology, who are growing steadily. So you can see software development still has the largest amount of applications at the moment in the Netherlands. But there are also are growing application or domains where applications are growing more big, like CRM deployment. So you will start to notice that a lot of Salesforce administrator roles or Salesforce implementer, Salesforce architect, all those roles are growing bigger and bigger every month, to say, because companies like Salesforce are pushing their product even more to like the middle and smaller businesses, as I said. So that will just implicates that there are more IT jobs in that space. IT strategy and management doesn't grow that big because it's already very filled and very there are a lot of people with enough experience to be filling those positions. So here you see the three most growing IT domains in the Netherlands. So we have data storage and data intelligence, information security, and DevOps and cloud technology. And those domains are growing really big every month. As you can see by the applications, there are an active 1,800, 1,100, and 1,400 applications per domain. And those are growing, but that means that those are active open applications. That gives you an insight in how big the industry is becoming and how more they are growing. So we have a lot of technology trends, and I summed some up right here. So what you will see in the coming future is that these trends are or these technologies and trends are becoming more apparent over time. So a lot of companies will implement those technologies and trends even more and more and more, as in artificial intelligence and machine learning. With that, deep learning is a very big technology that is growing and being more implemented by at the start large companies, but furthermore the smaller companies as well. Cybersecurity is becoming more important, especially with every hack that is happening. For instance, in the Netherlands, a lot of companies or a lot of government agencies are being hacked, and that gives those agencies a bad name. But also companies that are being hacked and need to pay large amounts of ransom fees. And that's something that we want. You would want to be happening less in the future. Also, the Internet of Things, which is maybe not that very knowable of, but will become more and more in the future. In the end, every thing that you will have in your house, from your fridge to maybe even your table, will have a chip in it and will communicate with each other in some way. And with that comes also edge computing. So that means that the fridge or the table needs to use that data on the spot and not go to a large server. Also clouds, robotics, blockchain, 5G, and quantum computing. Those are also big trends in the IT sector at the moment. So then I have a question for the audience. Do you have any other trends that you think that are very being used or are important in the future? If you would let me know in the chat box, I'll be interested to hear those things.
One trend that's mentioned is sustainability, also ethics in tech, virtual reality, augmented reality. Yeah,
those are exactly also trends that are apparent. Learning management, course design, analytics translator. And especially, that's a good one, Juliana, ethics. That's becoming more and more important, because with all these new trends and technologies, things like how do we use those data? How do we not use it in the wrong way? And what is very important in those kinds of decisions that you make as a company. So ethics is also a big one. Sustainability as well. Sustainable computing, lower the level of energy consumption of digital services. Yeah, that's also a good one. Brain-machine interfaces, Neuralink. Yeah, that will be a very interesting one as well. So as you see, there are a lot more trends and newer technologies that will stand up every year and will become more apparent in the IT space. So these trends that I'm now talking about, those are not all trends, and you will probably have a lot of trends that I won't talk about, but are there. So yeah, here I come back to the CRM landscape. So these companies, every company has to be used by a person, or every application these companies make have to be used by persons. And you see a lot of tech jobs growing in those spaces to specifically use a product or service from these kind of companies. It's not that if you just know how to code with Python or whatever, that you can use these products and work for a company to implement those products in a good way. So it's important to do that in a good manner. So you have a lot of companies, SaaS companies, who are growing their courses and growing everything that you can learn in those companies. Also, 5G will make everything more interconnected and faster, of course, which will be the ground base of future innovation in IT and tech. So maybe because of slow 4G speed where we're used to now, it will make 5G will make it more and more used to come up with new products and new services for people. So also autonomous artificial intelligence and clouds is very growing in the Netherlands at the moment. So you will see more and more products implementing these technologies in their use, and companies also are more and more motivated to use these technologies because they're starting to see the upsides of these technologies. Also, blockchain will change some parts of our way of working, because it gives a safe way to make sure that something has happened. So voting, also payments, but also lending, and in the financial sector, it will disrupt a lot of current companies, but also law enforcement, and now you start to see these online music services, Spotify or YouTube, being disrupted by blockchain-oriented applications and companies, who want to do it on a more safer and more secure way. So here I have some very emerging roles. So on the left we have developing roles, and on the right engineering roles, as you can see. And especially data scientists, cybersecurity specialists are very rapidly growing. At least the applications are, but also the fields and the use of those roles are growing rapidly. So you will also see newer roles like blockchain developer, who aren't that big, but who are who people are growing and are also being positioned in certain companies who are implementing the blockchain. Also the engineering side, so you will see a lot of more Internet of Things engineers, cloud engineers, robotics engineers, but also data engineers, and also network architects, who are more and more needed for the more we grow into this tech and IT world. So every new technology will needs to use a network architect to build the architecture of the company's network, or other certain things in the network of the company. So these are the current emerging roles in tech, but you also have support roles like administrator jobs, as I talked about in CRM, but also in other domains in IT, and IT supports internally in companies, and also for clients or customers of the company, because all these new services are being used by faster amounts of customers, and these all need to be helped. Also, automation will do a lot of this work, but those automations have to be hosted or managed by IT developers, or by other people who are in this space and work on those certain roles. So those were the emerging roles, and that was my presentation and talk about emerging roles and trends. I don't know if there are any questions at the moment.
Thank you so much, Mats, and definitely there are some questions actually that have come in from the audience. So let me first start with those. There's questions around reskilling, both reskilling into tech, but also reskilling in tech itself. So from one tech role maybe to another. So I'll start off with the first, which is, I'll combine two questions here, but for people who are rescaling into tech, a lot of the job postings have a requirement to have maybe a bachelor or a master's in computer science, plus experience in the field as well. So how can you get into a tech position if you don't have the formal university degree? Or how do you get into the tech position if you have a degree in another field or not the experience yet?
Yeah, thank you for the question. A good question, because a lot of people who want to reskill into IT come up to this wall of companies asking them for a bachelor's or a master's degree, and there are a couple of ways around this. So to be honest, some IT jobs just do require a university degree or higher education, but there's also a lot of possibilities in a work experience. So if you have a lot of work experience in a certain field, and you upskill yourself with certain certifications or online courses, it will be possible to apply. A lot of companies have these standardized questions for a bachelor's or a master's degree, but sometimes it's also possible to just applicate with certain amounts of experience and skill sets that you can show that you have, and also through certifications or online courses that you did. So there probably, it will say that you need a bachelor's or a master's, but some companies also would take into account people with enough work experience or enough knowledge about certain fields. So about reskilling from a certain IT domain or another field, it's really about the skills that you have in the field that you want to go into. because a lot of things that you already have learned. So, for example, if you're an economics major and you want to go into a certain IT field, it's very useful to, or you're not, the knowledge you already have is very useful for maybe very useful for the job you will be applying for. So through certifications and upskilling on certain hard skills that you need for the job, like coding or like cloud computing or information security, you are able to make a T-shape of yourself and upskill yourself to that job.
Yeah, I think definitely, of course, as you showed, this, for example, through blockchain, it's in every field really. So you can also use those new technical skills towards a role that is already in the domain you may have worked on. Is it healthcare or economics, commerce, whatever it was. And as you said earlier, I think in any team there is at least one self-made developer. So there are many success stories out there of people who have not necessarily studied computer science traditionally, but have later maybe studied it or later gotten the experience and are more so self-taught, so to say. So maybe also look into those experiences and contact such people for some advice. Another question was about reskilling within tech. So this question is coming from Hande. She is actually working as a software developer and a team lead for 15 years. So she has a lot of experience, but more recently she has expanded her skill set with a master's in big data and business analytics. So she wants to change her career path from software developer to a data engineer path. But she is both junior and senior. So do you have any advice for those people who are a bit further in their career, but are maybe more junior in the role that they're now applying to?
Yeah, good question as well, Hande. Thank you. That's a possibility, or that's a thing that's very useful or very usual in the tech space, that people are reskilling to a certain area or field. And there are some smaller companies where you can maybe have a larger position or have a senior position because the implications of the position are a bit smaller. So that's a possibility to look for. And there you can work on your experience as a senior position in the company. And with that experience, you can probably apply to larger companies. With attempt to larger companies, it's probably it is possible to start as a junior, but to go to a senior role very quick. If you, after 6 months, shown very competence in certain ways or at certain points of your work, you can show the upper management or that you are able to go to that senior role. So both maybe joining a smaller company if you want to instantly start as a senior on a certain field, and with experience you can go to bigger companies. But also with bigger companies you probably should have to start at a junior position because you're just starting to get experience in that field, and then grow your skill set more and more so you can go to a senior role.
Thanks, Max. I think very helpful advice. Next is a question from Andre, who says it's relatively easy to show yourself once you are invited for a technical interview, because there, of course, you can directly showcase your skills. But it's all about actually landing the interview, right? So having a decent portfolio and an engineering degree is often not enough to necessarily pass the CV screening. So is there a recommendation to pass the CV screening so you can make sure you get that interview?
Yeah, good question as well. Thank you, Andre. It's very important, as you said, to have a good portfolio. If you are able to come through a lot of CV screenings, make your CV stand out of the others. So maybe start with a portfolio or start with the certain skill sets that you have yourself. Be creative because a lot of CVs probably look the same. Make a T-shape of yourself about your skill set and try to encourage the employer to let you go to the interview. I understand that it maybe sometimes is hard if you get passed on a lot of times, but just try to innovate, try new ways of showing the employer how you are skilled enough for the interview. And when you're actually invited, you can, of course, show all your skills. But it's, I think being innovative in showing what you can do. So maybe start with a portfolio, or maybe if the job application is for engineering a certain type of product, maybe, and it probably is a lot of work, but make a small prototype of it to be, to stand out of the rest.
Great. I hope that was helpful, Andre. Do give it a try, and let's hear back from you how it went. A question coming in from Alexander. How about transitioning into product management roles if you have an MBA, for example, and several years of experience, but maybe little product experience?
Yeah, thank you, Alexander. That's a very good question, because it is, to be honest, not that easy to start or go into these into the new role. What probably is very useful is having experience in certain kind of product management or product developing, a product developing role, just as the same as the other question I answered. Start off in a junior position where you can show off your skill set and your capabilities in developing a project or a small product. And also that will probably show your employer your capabilities in managing a product or a certain type of service a company gives. I think it's also very important to have certain skills in or know-how of IT and the product you are working on. For example, I study in MBA, and I'm also doing a computer science course now because I want to work in a startup environment or at a new app startup company, besides my current work. But I just study for these new or for the field related skills to be able to show, okay, I am an MBA major, but I also have computer science skills in the example of an application or something in that field. And in product management, it's probably more like engineering or product design courses that you can also follow online.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for all your questions. Definitely keep them coming. Just a quick reminder, if you've joined us a bit later, if you have a question directly for the speaker, please put them in the Q&A on Zoom. So rather than using the chat, if it's directly for the speaker, please use the Q&A. A few more questions for you, Max. I think one thing that I'm curious about, you are coming from the business development world, right? And now you've really built all this expertise in tech and know about all the different roles. So what has surprised you most, or what have you found most interesting that you've learned along the way about tech?
Well, first of all, I always thought that IT wasn't that interesting when I was younger. And when I first started working as developing the products of TechGrounds and Tech Keyboarder, I was very surprised by the gap that there is in the workforce and the overallocation of skills in economics or in other fields. And that shocked me really. That made me even more motivated to start working in tech and IT and totally switch my view. What also was very interesting is that all these tech domains are very intertwined in what they do. So a data center is providing cloud, but so a data analyst cannot do his work very good if the cloud isn't working. And besides that, the information security has to be good. Like every domain we've talked about stands on one another, and if one domain falls away or isn't that efficient or good, the other domains are affected. And also if one domain grows very big or has new innovations, the other domains will grow with it in some certain sense. So it's like a very big, also cloud or blob, of however you want to call it, that's just growing and growing exponentially over the past years and will grow more exponentially in the future.
And if you personally were to move into a tech role tomorrow, is there a specific domain that really interests you?
Good question. Good question. I think a lot of domains like SaaS companies are already very big and are already very made up and exist certain sectors. So I would probably be interested in new sectors like sustainability and combining sustainability with the Internet of Things or combining certain domains to make up new domain. Besides that, I'm very interested in blockchain. That will be that will shape the next 10 years in such an unfathomable way that not only finance but a lot of other sectors are going to be affected by it.
Thanks. So a question from Martina in the audience. I think we've already touched on this a little bit about reskilling, etc. She has studied public administration herself and wants to change her job, but doesn't yet know what field she should choose. Currently, she's working on programming. When you are applying and reskilling to tech and you're applying for jobs, what role do maybe some personal projects have in your job application? Or events that you have joined? Are these things you can include? Are these things encouraged?
I think everything you do that may be applicable in the work you will be doing, like public administration, probably you know a lot of public relations. So a certain public relation oriented role is very applicable in your situation. And also, I think it's very important to learn and do things that you are internally motivated about, because that is the great motivator for being the real specialist in that kind of field. So if you're now doing programming and you want to do another domain where you're very interested in, be sure to follow that domain, because you will become better and are more skilled in that domain than if you aren't that motivated. So be very motivated and also apply the things that you already learned into your current skill set, because IT is becoming so more implemented in our lives that everything will be affected, and all other fields of study like healthcare as well. If you have a medicine degree and you want to work at companies with who are digitizing healthcare, that's very useful. I think for some healthcare companies, that's also you have to need a medicine degree, but not all IT jobs. But it's very useful in new domains that are standing out.
Thank you so much, Max. I think we're coming to the end of your time, but thank you very much also for answering so many questions from the audience. I'm sure it was greatly appreciated. And also asking some questions to the audience yourself during your presentation. I think that was very fun as well. So thank you. Feel free to stick around, of course, if you'd like.